Here's Anthony again for another three.
And that is why he's one of the best in the business at being able to score.
Absolutely tomahawk by Amari Stoudemire.
Amari pouring it on the Midas touch.
The New York Knicks returned to the postseason for the first time since 2004. It was a short stay as it turned out, a sweep by the Boston Celtics. But here in 2011, their first training camp with Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony sharing floor space in training camp for Mike D'Antoni. For more on Knicks camp, we welcome in Tina Servacio of MSG, sideline reporter for the Knicks. And Tina, let's talk about the big free agent signing. First of all, Tyson Chandler now in the fold with the Knicks. What about Chandler's skill set particularly appealed to the Knicks?
Well, for the first time in over a decade, the Knicks now have a formidable center at over 7 feet tall. I mean, we're talking about since Patrick Ewing's departure back in 2000, the Knicks haven't had this kind of a skill set with the type of interior defense that Tyson Chandler will bring to the Knicks, his presence inside, and that's what's been missing for this team for just so long. Now, you put him alongside of Amari Stoudemire now and Carmelo Anthony, and you really do have one of the top front courts in the league right now. And I believe that Tyson tweeted before he got on his plane, he is on his way to New York right now, excited about being able to join Amari and Carmelo in that front court. So this is something the Knicks have been missing for a while.
Absolutely, and sorry to interrupt. It's an interesting mix because Tyson Chandler is obviously known as a defensive player. The Knicks not known as a defensive-minded team. Does this indicate a change in philosophy or just trying to patch up a weak spot for New York?
I definitely think they are trying to just patch up a weak spot. This is something that Mike D'Antoni has been talking about since his arrival. I mean, he agrees that the team needed to solidify and shore up their defense, and that's also why they brought in Mike Woodson as an assistant coach. While he's not technically a defensive assistant coach, it is something that he is going to bring to the table. But with this move, by adding Tyson Chandler, they do lose a great defensive point guard in Chauncey Billups. They will amnesty Chauncey Billups. That's in the report. In order to make enough cap space to be able to sign Chandler.
Tina, when you get a chance to look at it, you talk about amnesty and Chauncey Billups. So I'm hearing that Chauncey Billups is not at the camp. And so if you start looking at the Knicks, great front court, but where do they address the backcourt situation as far as point guard and two guard?
Right now, the New York Knicks do not have a starting point guard as they start camp today. Now, Tony Douglas did fill in adequately for Billups when he hurt his knee and he was out of the postseason, that first round against the Celtics when they were swept in 4 games. But Tony is not a pure point guard. He's a combo guard. He's a shooter and a scorer. He plays great defense. He really prides himself in that. And he's been able to run the up-tempo style of Mike D'Antoni's system, but he has struggled passing, especially with Stoudemire and Carmelo, and that's the thing. You've got to distribute this ball to your 2 stars. Now, the Knicks did draft Iman Shumpert out of Georgia Tech, number 17 in the draft this past June, a point guard that only averaged about 3.5 assists with Georgia Tech, but he is a fantastic athlete, a big kid, 6 feet 6 inches tall. He's known to have very solid defense as well, and he's a really good ball handler, but this is a kid that cannot assume the starting role. So you know right now that the Knicks are shopping for a starting point guard.
Tina, no question about it, they need a point guard, but with the addition of Chandler, does this put them in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference now?
Yeah, the big question mark is the point guard position because you fortify the front court, but you have this gaping hole right now. I do think it's a game changer, though, because this also lets Amari Stoudemire play his true position. And he was playing center against these 7-footers all season. He takes a banging, and this is a guy that is questionable about his health with his knees. We've seen the knee injuries and also his back. He had to leave the postseason with this back injury, was barely playing at 50%, if that, in that 4th and final game when the Knicks were eliminated. So what this allows, this frees up Amari, and it adds defense. So this does improve the Knicks. I do believe it puts them in the top 4. I would say in the top 5 in the East.
All right, that's close to the top 4. That's in the neighborhood at least. Tina Servacio from MSG Network with us from Knicks camp in Westchester County. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, guys.